Hello, my name is Michael Swinford. We'd like to welcome you to this edition of the Veterans Voice. We have a very distinguished panel of guests today, and they are the American Legion here in Paducah. We're going to be talking with them about the past, the present, and the future of the organization. We'll be right back to introduce them right after this. Well, gentlemen, it's good to have the American Legion in the studios today. I'm sure there's a lot of things we need to discuss. First, I'd like for you to introduce yourself and your title. We'll start over here.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Jim Dudgeon. I'm the present commander of Chief Paducah, Post 31 here in Paducah, Kentucky.
My name's Hardy Gentry. I'm also a member of Post 31. I'm the adjutant. Also, Mike, I'm the commissioner for American Legion Baseball for the state of Kentucky.
Mike, I'm proud to be here today. My name's Jerry McKinney. I'm the Area 8 Commander of the state of Kentucky, and I belong to Post 31.
Well, when in history, I remember as a little boy walking by the American Legion in another county, and there was a World War I weapon out on the lawn. And as a kid, I used to go by there and fantasize about being combat ready and G.I. Joe and played war games on it many a day. But I never really knew why it was there and what was inside the building. So when and where did this organization begin its roots?
Mike, I'll answer that. First of all, thank you for having us. We were organized in 1919, on April 21st of 1919. We were, at that time, it was called the McCracken County American Legion, Post 31. Now, how they get the number of Post 31 was from a lottery that was done in New York City by the national people. Each state had a lottery. They drawed out the numbers, and Paducah number was drawn out as number 31. Now, as far as the location was, Mike, I'm not sure. We don't have that because they had moved a bunch of times. But the post home for many, many years, and you probably remember, was on Broadway, between Jefferson and Broadway. And that was the post home from a late, probably around the early 30s, all the way up until we moved over on the south side of Paducah on Legion Drive, where we're at now.
So you actually goes back to World War I.
Yes, sir.
What kind of situation was the world in to need an organization like this?
Well, I think, you know, as World War I was the thing of the war to end all wars, as it was put. And when the GIs came back from overseas, they met probably a lot of opposition and this and that going on, but they needed a voice in Congress, and they needed a voice in America to tell the story about the veterans and what they've done and how they served and when they came back, if they were wounded or something, that medical care, the disability, that thing, the nature, all that stuff. And that's where the American Legion came in, was they seen a place that they needed to help the veteran. And they needed a private organization to go to the governments and say, look, these guys have done this and this and this, and we need to help them.
So how did we end up with the Chief Paducah post?
Okay, now that's another story. Now again, I tell you, we went back 1919. Now we're the only post that has two charters that I know of. One probably maybe in the state, I know in the state of Kentucky, and probably maybe into a few in the nation. But our distinction was McCracken County American Legion, 1919. Well, a lot of the people lived in the city of Paducah that belonged to that were charter members of our post. Well, they decided in 1921, in September of 21, they decided that they wanted to change the name. They did not like McCracken County. They wanted something to be in the city because they were in the city. So they all met and they started deciding, well, what we can call the post. And they came up with all kinds of names and Cherokee and this and that. But eventually they said, well, look, Paducah was settled by Indians, and the name of the chief supposedly was Paducah. So they said, let's adopt that name. So they sent off for a new charter, and it was chartered in September of 1921 as Chief Paducah, American Legion Post 31. So but we have 2 charters in our hall. You can read it. It tells you all about the history, but that's where we got started.
It seems like after every war, there's always a little opposition in the war. There's people that stand behind you as good patriots of America, but there's also a fringe element that deems your service unworthy for some reason. And the wars that we've gone through in history that has sprung up these organizations to protect the men, to help them with claims and benefits and whatnot. Do you have a claims or VSO at your locale, which is a veteran service officer?
Yes, sir, we do. We have a Mr. Ryan's our veteran service officer at the post, and then Randy Fisher is at the State Department of it, and that carries on through there. We have to get their benefits to them and organize how that and what they can do. We have to have the paperwork all filled out in the proper forms to get to the State Department and then go through the VA.
So as a local post, do you have a VSO on site, or do you have certain hours or days that a veteran could come and talk to you about it?
Yes, Mike, we do. We, like you were saying, Wayne Ryan is our service officer. Okay. Wayne is down there from 10 o'clock until, I believe, 1 or 2 o'clock, or even a little after that on every Wednesday. All right.
So any veteran could just walk in off the street?
Well,
and
we'd like for the veterans to call the post, okay, to make sure, because Wayne is also in charge of some other things and involved in some other things also. Color guard, funerals, we don't know what's really going to be going on. And then he could also maybe have a little bit of a heads up, okay, before members comes down there and
that
talk
phone
with
number at the American Legion is 442
2525, sir. Yes.
2525.
442-2525. That's right.
Okay. Looking back in the past, what did the American Legion initially do to help veterans, other than having a place where they could conjugate and talk about the things they've been through, or maybe not? But what else was there for the veteran back in 1920 that the American Legion provided?
As far as services goes, okay, the American Legion Auxiliary, okay, was very heavily, very heavy, very involved. Back when the soldiers and the men were at war, they was back here at the home front taking care of a lot of things. A lot of children's services that they was heavily involved with, okay? We've all heard of Rosie the Riveter, where the women really took charge, okay, of the men's jobs while they was at war. As far as it's a lot about the children and the family, okay, and it's holding those units together is what back in 1920 was really involved. That's what was really more heavily involved with.
Do you still have a family atmosphere where the families
Yes, sir.
come take part?
We have even the boy state. We have boy state. We have girl state. We have programs for we have a new program going up in Mayfield. It's an indoor shooting range for air rifles, and trying to get that off the ground today. We got oratorio working in Murray, and then back in Paducah, and we always working on something. American Legion Riders, a new part of it. Okay, I'm working as a director of the Riders there. We work on a 9/11 thing coming up that will go out to all the way to Hopkinsville and go to the National Cemetery up there. We'll come back towards Mike Miller Park down in Marshall County, where you're from, and touch base there, and then back down to Paducah, where they got the Korean monument, so we can do things for our veterans and their families for programs with scholarships for their children. They started at juniors and seniors. The national programs, it works all the way up to the national. Don't even stop at state. We go with the national part of it. We work with them, and we get them programmed into it, girls and boys.
So you're not just a clubhouse. You actually do some
No,
work
sir,
out
we're
there in the
not.
community.
Mike, we've never been a club. We're a veterans organization, as is the VFW, as the DAV, combat veterans. But what we pride ourselves, we go back to what you said, World War I. We were the American Legion was instrumental in starting the Disabilities Act, Congress. But the biggest thing I think the American Legion can be the biggest proud of is the GI Bill. Mm-hmm. The GI Bill was sponsored, was drawn up and sponsored by the American Legion nationally and put to Congress. It took a lot of fighting, a lot of things. They started that thing in the late 30s and went all the way up and finally got it passed right after World War II in the late 40s. But it wasn't an easy task, and the American Legion got together with all the posts and all the people and got it passed. And that's monumental when you talk about the GI Bill. It covers so many things.
Well, as someone has used the GI Bill, I thank the American Legion for doing that, because without that, I probably wouldn't have had any education at all.
Exactly.
I didn't get a lot anyway, but it would have been kind of rough without being able to go to school. And
it's monumental. It's just what the GI Bill did for the economy, for the American people after World War II. Of course, I know all our dads. My dad was World War II. Yours, all of us were. Our dads were. They came back. They got an education, they got a good job, they raised a family. It just, and now it continues on now when the guys get out of service. They got a GI Bill to get them a better education, housing, they buy a new home. There's many, many things they can do with that GI Bill. So it continues on today as it did for us and our fathers.
So does the American Legion still have a presence in Washington today, or as a lobbyist or a PAC, or are they able to go to Congress and say?
Our national commander works on that throughout the year. Our state commander Michael Schultz been working on that, seeing what the senators and things are working on. We also got insurance programs. $30 a year, even as a membership, you get $1,000 worth of membership. If you're in the program and you're working for the program, like Hardy does it sometimes, Jim does it sometimes, it raises to $5,000 if you're out there on the road and doing things for the American Legion.
Yeah, well, that's all beneficial to the veterans' family,
sir.
that's for sure.
Yeah, Mike. But we have a state representative that's legislator in the state of Kentucky at Frankfort. Mm-hmm. We also have national legislators that are up there every day in Congress with the senators and the representatives, telling them about our needs with the VA. As you know, the VA is backlogged with a lot of claims and this and that. So we're working real hard to try to get that remedied, and I think we've done a good job. I think it's getting better. I know it's not where it needs to be, but the veterans are getting well taken care of now. I'm very proud of the VA medical system. I use it. And I'll have to say that I've never been treated bad. It's been a wonderful service to me, and I know some of the guys have had some nightmares and a little problem, but overall, I think it's a good program for us.
I have to agree with you. I've been going there for a long time, and they've always treated me with respect and dignity.
They treat you with respect.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
I happened to be up there over Christmas, and the little kids come in and brought presents and cookies and whatnot, and it was a very emotional time. I heard somebody mention baseball. Could you tell me about your baseball? I read about it in the paper, and I'm kind of proud when I get to see that.
Well, our baseball program I'm very proud of our program. I'm very proud of this whole state, but Post 31 is dear and near to my heart. That program was started in 1938. Now there's some teams that started before us, but Paducah has fielded a team since 1938, except for 1 year, and that was 1944. They did not field a team. I figure, and I don't know why, but I would figure because of World War II maybe. But every year, continuously, from 1938 except for 44, there's been American Legion baseball played in Paducah.
Do you have a funeral detail for veterans that have passed away?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yes.
The service officer does that. The sergeant at arms usually helps with that. A full funeral detail, bugle, the whole 9 yards on out of post 31.
Now, is it also true that a veteran is entitled to American flag
Yes, sir.
and also a bronze marker of some sort? Is
Right.
that still available to the veteran?
What we do, Mike, with that is every funeral home in the surrounding areas have our phone number. That has Wayne's phone number at home. Wayne Ryan is the head of our honor guard. I'm on it. Jim's on it. Jerry's helped. So we've got a full thing. Now, you do not have to be a member of the American Legion Post 31 to have a funeral detail. That's any veteran with an honorable discharge. We will go to him, go anywhere, cemetery and whatever, and perform the service. So it's available to all veterans, okay? And we feel very proud about that.
Well, being with the Patriot Guard, we see you guys out there a lot. In the hot and the cold, it doesn't make any difference.
No.
You're dedicated to what you do, and you're honoring the soldier or sailor or whoever it may be. And I think that's very commendable of you to have that service, because
Yeah,
a lot of veterans die all alone and don't have anybody. And by you guys showing up, you show your patriotism and your love for your country and the veteran himself. If I wanted to join the American Legion, how would I do that?
Well, you would come to the post, or you can do it online. Now we're high tech, okay?
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Higher than I am.
we're all high tech. You know, you can go online, you can fill out an application, but you still have to come to the local post to get your card. Me being the adjutant, that's my job. What you do, you'll bring your copy of your DD-214 or discharge, or if you had a medical card that you're in with the VA, that's presentable. We'll take a picture of it, keep a copy on file. It's $30 a year, and so the dues are not bad.
But doesn't the number of members that you have give you a bigger clout in Washington?
Oh, yes.
When the senators look and say, hey, 1,000 people agree on this, wouldn't that influence some decisions made in
Right.
Yes, sir,
Washington?
does.
So it's really imperative that if you're a veteran, you should belong. There's really no reason why you shouldn't, unless, you know, you couldn't afford the dues or anything. Do you have any program to help with that?
Oh, yes, we do. If a veteran is not able to pay his dues, then the post will pay it for him,
Yeah.
okay? We want the membership.
Right,
That $30 is not going to make or break us,
right.
okay? But what we want is that member. We want him as a member of the post to be active with us, and also to count on the state and also the nation, as you said, because more people we've got, when we go to the national, we go to Washington to speak to the senators and our representatives, you know, numbers speak. And if we can say we've got 4 million or 5 million members, that makes a big difference. They'll listen to you then.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
It's all numbers game in Washington anyway.
Yeah.
What about funding? Do you have fundraisers where you have to try to get money from the public?
Yes, we do. Well, from the public, some, right. But it's a lot of them basically within house, okay? We do have certain fundraisers that we have for like autism, okay? That's one fundraiser that we have, okay? We have one coming up, which is going to be our 9/11 remembrance, okay? Which is going to be on September 11th, which is a Friday night. We're going to be having a ceremony at 6 o'clock, okay? And then followed by a fish fry if anybody wants to stick around, you know, for anything to eat and stuff like that. But we need to get back to our patriotism and start remembering 9/11, because that was a pretty tragic day in our lives. And as life goes on, it's pretty hectic as it is anyway, you know. And people just, you know, it just to start forgetting, and we're trying to bring that back up to the forefront again.
So actually, 9/11 is sort of like a Pearl Harbor of modern day. Not as severe, of course, but still the shock and the very fact that it was able to happen, I think, is awakening a lot of people that were sleeping. And, you know, it's been said you don't want to wake a sleeping giant, and I think that's what happened. What other programs have we missed that we need to talk about today?
Well, there's a number of them that's here. Our
The,
commander down here's got a
well,
few
you
of
got,
them.
like we said, we got that new part of it, the riders thing, which we'll be doing a ride to the National Cemetery up in Hopkinsville and back to each one, like I said a while ago. And then we got the part of Boy State and the rifle shooting team and a program of scholarships that we raise money for. And on the other hand, when we have our DD 214 or a copy of their thing on the veterans, and you brought up a while ago about the brass marker. There's different types of markers, and we can put them stand-up markers up today. And they flagged us. If the funeral home can't get it for you, then we'll get it from either the post office or we'll send off and get it for you. And they will have a casket flag and a monument for you.
Now, what if someone was cremated? What would you do in that situation?
In that situation, that would be up to the family on where they want to put that marker at, or he can be cremated and still be put in the cemetery.
What we do with cremation, once the funeral home contacts us, Mike, and says, well, the body will be cremated, but the family still wants the service, we go, we do the service just like if it was the casket was there. We'll fold the flag, we'll fire the weapons, and we'll present the flag to the wife, mother, daughter, whatever it happens to be. So it's no difference for us. We do it exactly just like it was.
I've been to a lot of funerals, and that moment of respect that you all show the veteran
Right.
is high among my ideas of what it should be like. And I'm always kind of teary-eyed when I see that, but I realize that that family deserves that. That man or woman has earned the right, and I think he's to be commended for doing that. What do you look forward to in the future? Have you got some future ideas that you might like to express that may be coming down the road somewhere?
Can we do that?
You do, go ahead.
Well, as the future is, and we've talked about, we said earlier as the start of the program, is our younger veterans. You know, we're not in the past yet, but we're getting there. As when I joined, we still had some World War I veterans around. They didn't come very often, but World War II were very active. Korea was very active. Me and then the Vietnam guys, we came in and settled in and took over a lot of the duties. And now we're losing all the World War II veterans. We're losing Korea and we're losing Vietnam. You know that, Mike. And so now we've got to look to the future, and the future is Iraq, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan
Are
veterans.
you actively seeking the Afghan and Iraqi veterans?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
are you trying to reach out
We're
to
trying
them?
to reach out to them and show them that the organization, you need to belong to this organization, as well as belong to the VFW, the DAV, whatever organization it is. But you need to belong because those organizations are going to help you with your benefits, with paperwork, with a whole lot of things that's a lot of red tape. Then when you start dealing with the VA, we can cut through and get to it and help you. And so that's what we're requesting, is try to get those guys to come in with their families. It's a family organization. Come in, bring your wife, bring your children, and see what we've got to offer.
Okay, gentlemen, is there any final thing you'd like to say today?
I just want to thank you for being here, and we've had a very good discussion on what I thought we was going to have for Mike, and I appreciate you having us here today.
Well, I just hope that there's veterans out there that will benefit from what you all have to offer and take advantage of and become a part of. And I look forward to a successful relationship with you in the future, and I thank you for your work and the respect you show veterans and the kindness you show their families. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.